in this section, I'm going to ask them questions where they can give you suggestions and advice on writing and getting your book published. And if you're still kind of shrinking back from that, they're going to give you some inspiration to go ahead and get started. Okay, so ladies, thank you for being here and being willing to share your experiences and be able to help someone else get out there and get their story told. So, what advice do you have for someone who's hesitant about writing? What can you tell them? Well, they want to write, but they're hesitant. What advice do you have for them?
The main advice I would tell people is don't let what you think your inabilities are define you doing what you want to do. I'm just going to focus on the word perfect. As a writer who's has never written before, the likelihood of you doing something perfect the first time is probably zero. Always know that. It's not about perfecting it the first time. It's about doing the best you can to get it on the paper, and you'll do your perfecting later. And the thing that I did, I had an opportunity to spotlight my book at the library in my town. And one of the things that the lady told me that runs the library, she says, after reading the introduction, and you'll see in the introduction, that's exactly what I deal with, is perfection. We want to do everything perfect in life, but perfect I discovered, is an individual thing. What's perfect for you may not be perfect for me. So, yes, we want to put out quality material. You want to put out great stuff. But she explained to me that every book in the library, no matter how perfect you think it is, because we're human and humans can't perfect anything. So there's not one book in that library that every I is dotted, every T is crossed, and everything is perfect in the book. So if you have scars in your life, like I'm talking about in the book, then the likelihood of you perfecting something to get it perfect, you have to work through issues as you go along in your life to be able to put it all together on paper. So don't let yourself stop yourself because, oh, I can't do it perfect. No, you can't. But the thing about it is, the more you do it, and with every keystroke, with every pen, you are going to get better and better at what you do. So work on starting and work on perfecting as you go.
Okay, that's good. And I'll just interject here. When I was taking my classes for TV production and everything, one thing they said is, okay, don't wait to get your show perfect. Exactly. Just go on and get it started, get it out there, and perfect it as you go along.
Absolutely.
So anyway, that's good. That's good.
That's wise, because the journey is what's important.
Exactly.
And the learning curve. My editor says to me, the difference between an okay book, a good book, and a great book is how many times it's edited. So because every time you find something,
absolutely,
every time you edit, you find something that you didn't see, or you think of a better way to say the words, or use a better wording. And so you could keep doing that till infinitum and never finally say, okay, I'm going to be done. Mm-hmm. And so when I was doing Overcoming the Enemy Storms, I had to, at some point in time, I promised her I was going to be done. And so that made me be done. Because otherwise, I kept thinking of, oh, I should put this, or I should add that. Or like Nesherrill said, she felt a release and she knew she was done. Well, I didn't feel that. I kept thinking of things that I could add. And so because I made a promise that I would be done by a certain time, and we had already edited it many, many times. And so that helps the quality. And so that's what you want. You want it to be quality. There's a difference between quality and perfection. Mm-hmm. We don't need perfection, but we do need excellence and quality.
This is the moment I knew his future had no boundaries.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org.
Can you give some steps that somebody should take, when they're planning to write and getting started and, the process, can you, and also, if you could share through the process, what are some things to be aware of?
As a writer, I found that I set aside time to write, and I got up, and from morning to night, I could write. But I realized, like, when I get tired in the middle of it, and it's like you go back to it the next day, you go like, who wrote this, and what are you saying? So I learned to know my limitations. That was the main thing, is knowing your limitations. But and knowing that what you're writing is going to change not just your life, but somebody else.
Well, one of the things that I'd like to share is along finding what works for you. There's so many different types of writings you can do that I think you should just jump in, go to a writing class. So people that write blogs, people that write articles, people that write for different purposes, even say you write for your church bulletin and you do a little article, or you interview the pastor and write what he said, or you write on the internet, different ways of writing. We have a mutual friend that has a Living Better 50 magazine, and people can do articles, and these are people over 50 writing these articles. And so and then there's children's books, there's books for teenagers, there's fiction, there's memoirs. My book is going to be a teaching book, and there's documentaries. There's so many ways, I call them vehicles. There's so many vehicles that you can get in and take your writing to where it needs to go, that you don't need to look at a friend or look at somebody else and say, I can't do that.
Right.
And in doing so, then you can determine whether you, what you're writing, you want it to be self-published, or if you want to go with a publisher. That's a big, major decision.
Absolutely.
But in order to write and get what's in your heart on paper, you don't have to know that decision when you begin.
Okay.
And I just like to share something. In my writing, the one thing I learned that there's a lot of tools that are out there to really help you write. Say you're not necessarily a writer, but you can talk well. Well, there's a lot of things like drag and things that you can speak in and get your books done a lot quicker, or get it done. And then you can go back and edit it as you listen to it. So, and then there are programs that are free programs on the computer that you can download to help you edit your book and help you, even help you write it. And so I really advise anybody that's going to write as a first-time writer, don't try to figure out everything. Just go in and find out the things and the tools that's available.
Oh, okay. So you're saying there are tools on the internet that you can download that can help you. Well, that's interesting.
I'm using Dragon on my second book.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, right.
Me too. Yeah.
Okay, so you're
speaking it.
Giving it a try.
Yeah.
You have to say period,
And
new paragraph. You have to think every little thing that you're used to typing, but it's interesting and it's fun.
Yeah.
That seems like
And
that
it's
would
not
be
a very
interesting.
expensive tool.
Really?
Someone bought it for me for a gift, so I'm excited.
Oh, I'd be excited too. Okay. Okay, so you've got your manuscript, you have everything written, and now it's time to get it out there where other people can see it. What are some things to be aware of with getting your book published?
I went through a vanity publishing company, and when you do something the first time, you learn a lot. And a lot of what I learned to do was what not to do. There are avenues that you can self-publish that I found out later on. I was blessed to have financiers that actually financed the publishing of my book. But because I didn't understand any of this, and I'm not really computer literate when it comes to searching things out and discovering things. So when I sent my book in to get my certificate, they sent me a letter from a publishing company about them wanting to publish my book. So I did some research on them. I found out there was a qualified vanity company. But the one obstacle that I face now is I don't know what's going on. they have all my paperwork. They have everything, and everything is licensed with them. So they have full control of what they sell. So they tell me what. That's the part I don't like. However, now, because I've learned a lot more, learned a lot of what to do, I can self-publish, and I think that's the route I'm going to go with the second book.
One of the things that we can't presume is that the publishing part is going to be easy or simple or fast. It's none of the above.
None of the above.
And so when you go into it that way, then you can understand that there's layers to it. There's layers to the publishing. I did self-publish, but through an organization, which was Westbow, and there's different publishing packages, and so you decide which one you want. I did the online package, and then each thing after that, after the initial package, then there's finances attached to each particular thing. Like if I wanted to be in the database of the bookstores, where somebody could go into any bookstore and say, I want Overcoming the Enemy Storms by Diane Gardner, and they could pull it up in there, because they won't order it if it's not in their database. So if that was a fee for that. And then marketing, there was a separate marketing fee, which doesn't mean they're out there really doing the pushing the book and stuff. It just makes some packages open for you. And because I paid for the marketing package, then they came to me and talked to me about Women of Faith, and that Women of Faith was a good, my book was a good fit for Women of Faith. And but then I still had to pay for that privilege of being there at Women of Faith. And so each thing is finances.
Absolutely.
And so it's good to pray and believe God for financiers and for people that believe in your vision and continue. And it was interesting because I would say to my editor, well, I'm going to have to pay you on the credit card next time I come because I don't have any more money now. And then I would come back 2-3 weeks later and I could write a check because somebody had given me money.
Yeah.
So God just,
Amen.
if you keep believing and keep trusting, anything that you start has to be by faith, and usually that means you have no money to begin with. And you just trust God and believe Him and watch Him walk you through it.
Okay.
But also on YouTube and on the internet is publishing guides.
Absolutely.
And there's all kinds of materials. I downloaded one and it was like 50 pages. So I thought I'd have just read it online if I known it was this thick.
Yes.
But there's quality material,
Absolutely.
a lot of it.
Oh, okay.
And you can also go to the books you have on your shelf that you like and look at their, when you become an author, you look at things a little more closely.
Yes.
I looked at their copyright page. I looked at who published it and pulled those names up online and, did a lot of research before I settled on what this next book, which I'm writing, which is Presumption, How We Add to God's Truth. And it's more of a teaching book. It's going to answer a lot of questions for people. I'm doing it through Create Space, which is Amazon. And my book here is on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and in all the internet online publishing companies. It's on there. The ebook is through Amazon also. And so this one, Create Space, is I'm doing my next book on presumption, and but yet I have to do a separate little book for the ebook, where with Overcoming the Enemy Storms, the ebook was a part of the package that I bought.
Okay. Oh, okay. Wow. There's a lot that you said here, just even talking about Create Space and finding publishing guidelines on YouTube. I mean, I guess you can find anything on YouTube
Absolutely.
nowadays. And it's like, I hadn't thought about those kind of things. You kind of think you write, you find somebody to publish it, you get it out of the bookstore, you go sell it here and there, but it's a little more detailed. But even with all that detail that's needed, people should still go ahead and write.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
The one thing you got to first do is believe in yourself. You can write. If you don't believe in the work that you're doing, then your right comes to naught. But you have to first believe that you can, and believe in yourself, and believe in what you wrote. And as long as it is on paper and you can read it and it inspires you, if it inspires you, it inspires someone else as well.
Right. Yeah.
That's a good point.
I agree with that. I agree.
And having said that, which is an excellent point, you shouldn't allow others to downplay what you've done, because someone else's mind might be on a different track, and what they would write would be so different, and their thought process and how they would go about something could be so different than you that they go, well, I don't think I would do that.
Right. Yeah.
Or I don't know if I like that. My cover became very controversial because so many people said, I don't really like artist renditions of Jesus. I said I didn't either till I had a vision, and this artwork is the exact vision that I had 8 years earlier. So it spoke to me.
Right.
And yet, on the other hand, I've had people come and this is a picture of Jesus walking in a storm, overcoming the enemy's storms. And he's inviting you. He's not inviting Peter. He's inviting you to come and walk with him and be an overcomer in the midst of a storm. Well, I've had other people come to me and with tears in their eyes say, oh, your cover spoke to me. And I've been so blessed. And I thank you for putting that on the cover. So it's an individual thing.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's something we have to remember.
Absolutely.
Because even as you write a book, it's not for everybody.
Absolutely.
There's a certain market for it, because somebody else may pick it up and like, it's just like anything else, movies, food, all the things that, we enjoy, but everybody has different tastes.
Absolutely.
And so you can't necessarily, you can't, like you say, let others downplay what you're doing, or I wouldn't do it like that, or, you have to keep going forward with your vision.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Because there's somebody that's, is going to click with that can align with what your vision is, and then they can see what it is that you're doing.
And the world says, if you see it, you can achieve it. Now, that's what the world say. But God says, for with him, all things are possible. If there is a possibility, then there's a probability. So just go in believing in yourself. When I first, I have a lady that read my book, and it was really funny because she came back to me and she said, I really enjoyed your book, but there was a lot of errors in it. I said, and my first question was, did you read the introduction? And she says, yeah, I read it, but here is the thing. If this book is on brokenness, and you got a broken person that's evaluating your book, they're going to evaluate it through their own brokenness. So I can't let someone else's brokenness judge what God is asking me to do. So I had to look beyond what she said and said, but however, if you take that approach at everything, do you know how many people you will stop? And she said, well, I never want to stop anybody. I go, yeah. I said, so think about what we're saying when we're judging somebody else's work, because you're judging it through your own eyes. One of the things about being transparent, I'm writing a book to help people become healed and whole and to find their missing pieces and missing links in their life. God can't fix, you can't fix what you don't admit that's broken. We all have missing pieces in our life that we wish was there, and we go through life and we have junctures in our life where we feel like we're stuck. So to get unstuck, is I moved ahead regardless to what my limitations were or my abilities. I didn't want that to stop me. And what I learned through that is that I had more abilities than I thought I had. I allowed the lies of the enemy to stop me from doing a lot of things that I wanted to do throughout my life. So to do this and says, I don't care what the lies are, I'm shutting them down and I'm going to do it anyway. So that's the purpose of writing the introduction, is to be transparent so people can understand. Transparency is my only tool to get where I want to go in life.
So do you guys have any closing words of inspiration you would like to say before we wrap things up here?
Well, I would just like to say, I finished my book at 60 years old. And if I put a timeline or an age on everything that I wanted to do in life, I wouldn't have accomplished half of the things that I accomplished in life. So age is just a number in our own minds. Working in a beauty shop where I work, I meet women of all ages. And I realize some of the things that I try to do in life, they go like, are you going to do that? Well, absolutely. And they said, well, is that one of the things on your bucket list? Well, I've missed so many opportunities in life because of my own brokenness and my own fragmentation that I decided that if I can write a book, I can do anything. So now at 60 years old, I've been zip lining, I've been water rafting, and people say, is that your bucket list? Bucket list? I haven't even did that yet. I'm just trying to catch up on life. So if you got something to do in life, don't let age be the number one factor that you stop. That should be the time that you start. You have missed out on life. Catch up.
Okay, great. I like that.
Pray for safety and protection and go for it. I did the zip line too. I want to do the water rafting and I want to do the out of the airplane that President Bush did. Was the skydiving? Yeah, that's on my agenda.
I want to thank you for coming and sharing your expertise with us. We'll have to have you back on when you have your next book published and see how you've progressed, because it's really exciting to see people take these steps and then go on to bigger and better things. Anyway, we want to thank you for joining us today and thank these ladies for coming and sharing their expertise. You can find out more about them at our website, which is on the screen there. We have information on them and their books. You can even find out more about their books there. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Compact cameras offer more creative features than a point and shoot, and most models are still less bulkier than a DSLR. There's a variety of brands and models to choose from. I'm going to talk about my personal compact camera, which is a Canon PowerShot G11. Now, this camera is an older model. It came out in 2009, and you can find one used for under $200. The latest and greatest model in the G series line is the G5X, and that one has more features than this one, and to purchase a new one, it runs somewhere in the $700 to $800 range. As you can see, this camera is small, and it's one I can easily transport in my purse or bag. The camera has a built-in zoom lens, a LCD screen that tilts and swivels, and creative controls, which are good for someone who wants to have the option of setting the aperture, ISO, and shutter speed, as well as using the camera in automatic mode. And it captures images in JPEG and RAW image format. It's able to make incremental exposure adjustments, and it has a hot shoe to attach a flash unit to it. A compact camera will generally have a larger sensor than a point and shoot, which is important if you want to be able to have images with a resolution to make quality, larger size prints, such as if you're someone who wants to be able to enlarge your images to create prints for decor purposes. I'll show some images from one of my ever-expanding image collections that was taken with this camera. First, a word about collections. Now, I have several categories of images that I collect. And when I say collections, these are things that I take images of on a regular basis. For example, I'll be showing a 2-minute video of some of the images I photographed for my clouds and sky collection. As you see, you can create some great images with a compact camera. Next time, I'll be covering the DSLR.